Okay, let's talk about the total lack of coherence and logic behind Donald Trump's multiple explanations about that New York Times report, which explained, hey, you know what? In 1995, Donald Trump reported a $916 million loss on his 1995 taxes. He initially said that that makes him smart, right? So let's really go through this in a logical manner. You see this $916 million loss on Trump's 1995 tax returns. Potentially, Donald Trump could have used that loss to then offset federal taxes he would have had to pay in up to the following 18 years, and maybe not paid federal taxes for nearly 2 decades following this. We don't know that because we don't have Donald Trump's taxes. We just don't have them. We don't know. The initial reaction from Trump when he was accused of not paying federal taxes by Hillary Clinton in the first debate was to say, that makes me smart. I'll remind you what that looked and sounded like.
Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So if he's paid zero.
Yeah, so that's Trump's initial spin. I have no doubt that those are his true feelings. Trump thinks he's pretty clever because he's figured out a way not to pay taxes. Now, not paying taxes doesn't make you smart. It makes you a freeloader. That's exactly what it makes you in a literal sense. That's okay. Doesn't play too well with voters, clearly. So Donald Trump has been spinning it a different way. He now is saying that his inside knowledge of the tax code and how to game it actually makes him qualified to be president. Here's a tweet that Donald Trump sent out recently where he said, I know our complex tax laws better than anyone who has ever run for president and am the only one who can fix them. Okay, well, that's something to think about at least, right? Trump has taken advantage of these tax loopholes for the rich, and he knows exactly how they could be changed and fixed. What's the problem with that statement? Well, the problem is we've seen Donald Trump's tax plan, and it would do absolutely nothing to fix these problems. Trump's tax plan wouldn't close the loophole that would have allowed him to avoid paying taxes for many years. Trump's tax plan would, by and large, give the largest windfalls to the highest earners, including people in the top 0.1%. And Donald Trump's tax plan would repeal the estate tax, which would only affect a tiny minority of the wealthiest people and families in the U.S. And by the way, an analysis from an organization called Third Way concluded that Donald Trump's own family would be one of that teeny tiny percentage of families that would benefit from Donald Trump repealing the estate tax, to the tune, by the way, of a $7 billion benefit. If Donald Trump is going to make the argument that by having taken advantage of these laws himself, he will know how to fix them, he needs to make a proposal to fix them. His actual tax proposal would make these laws even more favorable to the richest of the rich. So this does not pass the laugh test. And then we always get to the question, why do people who will never, ever, ever even come close to being in a position to benefit from these laws, why would they ever support someone like Donald Trump? Well, I think part of it is the idea that they probably believe I too one day may be rich enough to benefit from this type of nonsense. Statistically speaking, most of those people will not. And some of it may be that they're influenced by these ideas of, hey, he's successful and he is taking advantage of the law as he sees it, and he is going to make the law even better for himself. And because he's rich, he's good, because that's something that there's a lot in American culture that is tied into, if you figured out a way to make a ton of money, you are good and you should be applauded. Unfortunately, we know that that is not true. I've talked about how people of all ages, but particularly millennials, are owning cars less and participating more in the sharing economy. And one of the more popular options is Zipcar, which gets you a car when you want it, when you need it. They offer all sorts of cars, SUVs, hybrids, whatever you need. It includes insurance and it includes gas. You just pay for the time that you actually use the car, and you can reserve the car online from your smartphone over the phone. Then you unlock it with your Zip card. Each car share member reduces their personal CO2 emissions by between 1,100 and 1,600 pounds per year. For our audience, Zipcar is offering $25 of free driving credit if you sign up at joinzipcar.com/David. Support our show, reduce your carbon emissions and your spending on cars. Sign up at joinzipcar.com/David.